This is BBC One.
If I wasn't talking like this, you would hear a lot of noise. You see, well, a lot of noise is that there's Slade getting on, because it's #1 time, and here they come, it's Slade!
Slade have always had that thing, that indefinable thing that actually made people happy.
They were a proper geezers band, but they sort of dressed like the Diddy Man, didn't they?
They are the original Spinal Tap. Their amplifiers went to 11.
Noddy Holder's got one of the greatest voices in rock ever.
When you're top of the pops, it is the best feeling in the world.
Slade are one of the most successful pop acts of all time, having sold over 50 million records worldwide. In the 70s alone, they had 6 #1s, a feat equalled only by ABBA. It began in the 60s, when shouty bloke Noddy Holder joined the In-Betweens, formed by toothsome guitarist Dave Hill and Dreamboat drummer Don Powell. The lineup was completed after the audition of cherubic classical violinist Jim Lee.
Don said, "So I see you play the violin. Do you play any other instruments?" I said, "Oh, I had a go at cello, but I didn't really get on too well with that." And he said, "Oh, did the spike keep sticking in your neck?"
I don't know what the magic was. I really don't know, but there was something special there.
We formed this foursome, and we went to this 3 men in a boat across the road from Nodzev's, this pub, and we rehearsed together.
I think the first gig was Walsall Town Hall, April the 1st, 1966, April Fool's Day, and we were playing the Fool from then on.
The band's first single, You Better Run, set the world alight, but only the world that stretched from Wolverhampton to Walsall.
And that came out on December the 2nd, 1966 on Columbia Records. The record number was DB8080.
I seem to remember we tried to get the local store to stock 500 copies or something and trying to get people to buy them, trying to get in the charts. It didn't work.
He was #1 in Wolverhampton for 6 weeks. He kept Green Grass of Home by Tom Jones off the top of Wolverhampton.
After 3 years of slog, the In-Betweens started calling themselves Ambrose Slade. But the real turning point was a chance encounter with Big Chaz Chandler, formerly of the Animals and manager of Jimi Hendrix. Chaz would mastermind their success, and he began by changing the name. Ambrose was out. From now on, they'd be plain Slade.
Chaz, I think, was probably looking upon us as trying to make a change in an image. We'd all got long hair and we all looked good. In fact, we all had girlfriends then.
And I said to Chaz, "What's news at the moment? What's making news in the paper? What's causing controversy?" Skinheads.
Of course, Chaz, yes, yippee! He found something. And of course, Chaz was on the phone right away.
He said, "I want you to become skinheads." And of course, no. I've spent 3 years growing this, mate. No way.
He rung me up and he said, "You Davey," because he talks like that.
All he got to say to Dave, "Davey, you'll be a millionaire if you have this done."
I mean, I was, oh, what?
I thought, oh no, what have I done? They're nice guys, you can't turn them into a bunch of bother boys, nobody's going to believe it. Too late, he said, they're out having their haircuts, we're just getting the boots and braces together now. I just don't understand it, why they're getting so uptight. I don't think I'll stick around here, I ain't looking for a fight.
My mum waved me off. I had hair down here, so I go back and she brings me a cup of tea the next morning and pours the tea all over me because she thought there was someone else in the bed.
Dave hated it with a vengeance. He hated the skinhead days.
Because we were always playing darts in the dressing room because nobody, we didn't go out the front in case we were beat up.
There was this new skinhead band around, and they had higher stacks than we did, and they were louder than we were.
We weren't.
And in the early days, we didn't like that at all.
Actually, a skin audience weren't that rough. Some of the pubs I played on a Saturday night in the Black Country, when people were pissed up, and Saturday night was fighting night. I mean, the skin audience wasn't that daunting.
We looked hard, though. I mean, you certainly knew who we were, because it was a bit like, "Oh, Slade, you're in there." And then all the groups with the long hair, with the birds, were in the other rooms,
Played in Bournemouth one night and it was full of skinheads. And, oh, my God, and we go on stage, and they just saw right through us.
quite right, because we've got this violin player. I mean, they were into reggae, you know. You know, it's all this.
We couldn't get on top of the pops because the producer's son had been beaten up by skinheads, so we were back in the alley. We couldn't do anything then.
The one benefit we got out of the skinhead era was none of the promoters ever tried to rook us for money. They always paid up on the spot.
Not look good. I think Jim and myself were probably the awkward members.
So very much, that was a Lennon McCartney composition.
It was 5 years before we got any record success. We slogged around the country in the back of the van sharing bags of chips and things like that.
Nod developed as a frontman, and we had this song at the end of the show, Get Down and Get With It.
Now get down and get with it with Slade.
If you think about the bother boots developing into bigger boots, and you think about us having an audience where they're all going, all this stamping mark.
I want to see everybody get up on your seats, clap your hands and stamp your feet.
It was all atmosphere.
Take it down and get with it. It's been a long, long time.
I developed an hairstyle which actually came from that skinhead thing where I had a very short fringe and very long hair.
Take it down and get with it, baby. Watch everybody do the dance. Take it down and get with it.
I was 13. And then all of a sudden, there was Get Down and Get With It. And this was like, wow, man, this is some record here. This is pretty tough, you know.
There's nobody's ever sounded like Noddy, or ever before, or ever will.
I want to see everybody raise both your hands in the air. Come on, everybody, everywhere. I said to clap your hands. Clap your hands.
Slade, I always just thought were very loud. I remember them loud, very loud. Louder than what I like to play, to tell you the truth.
I remember when we first went to Top of the Pops, the sets were being held up with tape and it was all a bit sort of tatty, and it wasn't that wonderful ball that we saw on TV. You could see the cracks and the joints and you could see it being stuck together. Such is the arrogance of youth. I looked at this and I thought, we can take this, we can do this.
Thursday night, and there's this thing called Top of the Pops. There was no other music on telly. It was black and white TV. There was no video, so there was no missing it and recording it later. There was this moment where you saw these people having a ball.
Once we had that foot in the door with the first hit, Get Down and Get With It, from then it just went ballistic.
I got this idea for this rhythm. Nod and I were into Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli. I took my violin, I went over and knocked on Nod's door.
And it was the first time me and Jim had sat down to write a song properly together, gauged at a hit single.
So his mum made a cup of cocoa, and I said, I've got this idea, this rhythm, and shuffle.
I won't laugh at you when you boo-hoo-hoo, 'cause I love you. I can't turn my back on the things you lack.
Half an hour later, the cocoa was drunk and 'Cause I Love You was born, and it was number one, like that.
Just like the things you do. Don't you change the things you do.
But what was good about it was this, this clapping, you know, bump, bump, that we did in the corridor, and it came out on the record really loud.
The whole record came alive, the song came alive. It was a good pop song to start with, but that gave it the icing on the cake.
Just like the things you do.
I'm not a student, I've never been to college, you know, and I never went to art school. Not very good with words, but, you know, Slade speak to me just through the energy of the guitars and the music more than anything.
We listened to the radio at 1 o'clock when the charts used to be read over the air and they used to play the record.
You know, they're also, you know, and Alan Freeman.
Because they didn't preempt Top of the